I can't tell you how excited we've been in the run-up to today.
Cancer is all pervasive in so many lives and has changed so much about the NHS, about the country, and about individual lives. And it suddenly struck me that the most important thing was time, because it is the only thing that we can't give back. It is the only thing that we can't reclaim. There will be an impact, sadly, from COVID. The way that we've reorganised services and the incredible work done by both alliances in the East of England and indeed a lot of the national work to keep things going, particularly in the second and third phase, has been extraordinary. And I take my hat off and feel humble when I see the work of our clinicians in terms of keeping those services going. But we mustn't lose the opportunity that we have in terms of COVID, also about thinking about ways that we can work differently, the creativity, the innovation, the thoughtfulness of so many of our colleagues and our patients in terms of working differently as a result of COVID. We must not lose that. But we also need to recognise that there will be some incredible challenges as we go forward. My heart goes out to each and every one of you on this journey. I just want to say a huge thank you. Thank you for your time today, because time matters. But the most important thing is that we listen to you as the experts in your care, in your lives.
What we need to do is not blame anyone at all for getting ill. But, that said, lifestyle and the choices we make over many years of our lives does have an influence on illness. If you choose to eat lots of burnt meat, don't have many vegetables, don't exercise very well, you do have an increased risk of various diseases, and that can range from heart disease, indigestion, an increased risk of dementia, arthritis, going through to high blood pressure, osteoporosis, erectile dysfunction, and more recently, probably COVID. CR UK estimate that probably about 40 to 50% of cancers could have been avoided. People get confused with information overload. It's hard to change your lifestyle, and you want to know if you're going to do it, does it really matter? So it's the body itself. We need to improve the terrain, improve our ability to fight it, rather than just concentrating on killing the cancer cells, to try to arm patients and prepare patients for treatment. If you are going to start cancer treatments or have an operation, there's a significant benefit to being fitter. Obesity is not just about overeating, but there's enormous factors to why some people struggle with their weight. And these are my 3 top tips. And this is based on studies which have been published. One would be overnight fasting, walking before breakfast, also reducing processed sugar intake. So I'm urging people who work in oncology units, please to hide the sweets. If you don't exercise, if you smoke, if you eat burnt meat and you eat sugar, they're all things which damage gut health. Psychological morbidity on its own, independently, will increase your risk of relapse. Eat particularly plant-based fats. The last thing you want to do is blame people. So it should be emphasized, it's not a blame mechanism, it's more of an encouragement that your lifestyle changes still matter after a diagnosis. And the reason why we're saying it is not to blame them, it's to encourage them that they have some control over their destiny. It's great that you as a group are embracing this and supporting each other without blaming each other.
It's really nice to have an oncologist that obviously has a holistic view, because the holistic view takes into consideration how it might feel to hear things that might sound like blame.
So I think it's a case of educating doctors as well as staff. Actually, push yourself as much as you can, and it will seem terribly difficult at the beginning, but in the longer term will reap benefits.
So you've got a lot of support in the audience.
Well, it's very lovely. 83% of you have said very useful. And we've been joined by a super panel of people.
There was a voice in us that wasn't being heard. The lived experience of our cancer journey can be better. And that's what the Patient Advisory Board is about what matters to us as patients and carers, and what we want the people that deliver that care to hear, and how we want to help to make it as best as we possibly can for as many patients as we can.
We need people with more recent experience of cancer diagnoses and treatment. We would like to be more diverse.
Cancer surgery has continued throughout COVID. And we also have developed in the east of England a system of what's called mutual aid.
The mindset needs to be, how can we work with patients to see you as quickly as we possibly can, but in a time frame that suits you?
The element of psychological support is an imperative, because you can do what you like to the body, but if the mind isn't following, then we're in a muddle. And a real important thing is to capture some of that and to understand some of the psychological challenges that patients and their families are up against. It is incredibly difficult from that moment, I would say even before diagnosis, when you think there might be something wrong, and all the things that go through your head. And then when you get that diagnosis, the absolute shift that has to occur somewhere along the line. You have to somehow embrace everything that's going to happen and what that means to you. All the medicine in the world isn't going to make you feel any better unless we're addressing those deep-seated psychological needs, which we have to measure and help people with. It's imperative that the patient says, this is what I need. And this is what the patient advisory board is all about. It's about the lived experience.
Creating the care with both the individual and the team around the bespoke needs of the individuals.
Important that we do continue to have a dialogue with patients in a meaningful way. And if you're having experiences where you feel actually there is something that is missing, or actually if you have an experience where you think, gosh, that was absolutely brilliant, the more we know about that, the more we can try and influence all of the services in our patch. So it's really important to hear from everybody about what's happening and what matters to them. It's actually an important bit about improving outcomes. It's actually managing the diagnosis quicker, and that's not all about just how quickly things happen when you hit a hospital. It's more about how can we encourage people and give information about, actually, if you have got certain symptoms, we really need to see you.
I suppose my plea to you is don't just assume that's the way it has to be. Raise those concerns, have the conversation, don't accept mediocrity. We can do better, but we can only do better when we hear from you about where we've let you down.
How do we try to leave the ranks of where we are to be where people are?
As always, these problems arise because of poor communication. I think that's probably been the theme of the whole series of questions so far.
The number of times that I get a complaint letter, and I do get many, and I wish I had an awful lot more, which might sound a bit odd, but I think for every person that complains, there are probably 10 people that haven't had particularly good service but don't think they want to make a fuss, is whether or not there was a way of capturing all the issues that are raised about local care delivery across the cancer alliances. Because what we will start to see as a series of themes, if somebody asks the patient before the multidisciplinary meeting one simple question: what matters to you? Not what's the matter with you, but what matters to you? What's important in terms of your cancer care? And they take that information into the MDT meeting. That frames the meeting differently, doesn't it? Because the clinicians in the room trying to second guess what's important to the patient is really difficult. And then the feedback to the patient is, this is what you said you wanted from the multidisciplinary team meeting. This is what we discovered in terms of your clinical condition, and this is what we can offer you.
Nick, you said something really profound at the end about what matters to the patient. And one of the really key things, as I know that Lindsay and I are co-hosting the day, but also we're both patients. And also I wanted to highlight the fact that actually this event was brought about for exactly that reason, because we wanted to make sure we fully understand the barriers sometimes to being able to express ourselves, or to being able to, you know, get the support that we need in the moment at that time. And so there are other avenues to making sure that people are heard, and to educating people about the barriers that stop us from being able to bring our whole selves into a consultation or into our treatment.
If patients feel that they have a story to tell which would benefit others through improving services and being more responsive to patients, then they should get in touch with us.
The reason for this event is absolutely to listen, and what matters most to you matters most to us. One of the things we can do from this in a very practical way is to think about how better we listen in a way that we can use that listening to start to make a difference. Challenge happily accepted. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to share with you 3 kind of major sort of key themes. from this morning session. One was around time and the importance of time, lifestyle, the importance of listening, communication, and making sure that when you're talking, it's about what matters to you. And communication between healthcare professionals and patients can be sometimes incredibly difficult and complicated. How to make the discussion smooth and helpful.
We are going to show you some edge of your seat drama. If you find yourself in a situation with a doctor and they're spouting lots of stuff that you don't fully understand, just say, doctor, before we move on, can I just summarize what you've just said so we're all completely on the same page?
I'd just like to say that the real benefit of this type of approach is that it prepares us for what can go wrong in conversations. Because in real life, we only get one shot, but we can pick ourselves up and have another go and another go and be coached in how to progress.
Everybody here has been communicating and engaging so well throughout today. All of us have our own experiences of cancer, obviously, and it wouldn't be right for us to hold a patient event without asking a patient to share their journey with us. She has a deeply moving story.
The key motivation in sharing my story was to share the hardships and the challenges that I had to undergo and overcome with my family, as a way to encourage patients and families, but also to make health professionals more aware of the needs of not just the patients, but their families. So it is a dream of every cancer patient to celebrate life and share it with those we love. How did I get here? And behind this question is a lot of fear, anxiety, worries, doubts, and it continuously plagues the patient as it did me and my family. And I felt alone, really alone, not knowing what to do. Not only did I have to deal with my own diagnosis, but it was only 6 months after my twin brother died of a similar cancer. Would I have the same fate as my brother? Has it spread? How long have I got? Who do I talk to? What will be my treatment? I felt I was at the bottom of the barrel, and then I remember a friend said, good job, the barrel has a bottom. I was told that the multidisciplinary team would get in touch with me. We are still unable to talk about cancer. 3 months, I really did not have a dialogue about how I was feeling. How could I had been better prepared? How could the professionals had been better prepared? I was paralyzed. Time stood still. It was surreal.
Acknowledging the courage and the emotional poignancy of your story.
So a huge cultural impact. I had very little opportunity for understanding what was going on. So I decided that what am I going to do with this experience that's happening to me? My emotions were all over the place. I was dealing with my cultural issues. Initially, my decisions were based on fear. And slowly, it became a transformative journey where my decisions were based on hope. So I needed to go from why me to what now. Doing nothing was not an option. And so before and after surgery, I tried to look after myself. You know, I knew I wanted to focus on what I could control and let go of what I could not. My strategies were about balance and wellness at every level of my life. So whilst I grew to accept my diagnosis, I did not accept my prognosis. I knew that physical activity has an impact on mental health, but I also started to nourish my mind, you know, my inner strength. I started practicing mindfulness. There is nothing certain in our lives, with or without cancer. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe the communication needs to be sharpened both ways. And then by sharing experiences, I feel more confident about asking for help and support. It's very difficult to access, to know who can help without that regular dialogue. It's not how long you live, it's really how to live. I needed to discover my own strength. I told myself that cancer does not define me, that hope and courage defines me. I needed to take a little bit of responsibility for discovering my inner strength. So it was a very slow, transformative, but a positive journey. What I can say is that fear is real. To rise above the fear requires us to self-empower ourselves. But one good example, visible example that came to me, I think you saw the picture of Badger, the dog in my slides, the Malamute. And I'm coming from Kenya. I was bitten by a dog. So I had fear of dogs. And then one day when I was going for my PET scan, Badger's owner was walking Badger, and Badger came to me, and in a second, my fear just went away. And I thought, well, if my fear of dogs can go away, well, maybe I can embracing all the good things that are happening to me. The what ifs became less and less as I developed a positive mindset. And that's how we started one, a Macmillan assisted cancer support group. An amazing thing. Do you know what? Just learning to talk about it is so therapeutic. Taking responsibility for your health, but that you're not alone. My transformative journey has remade me and helped me to understand what is truly important. I appreciate the openness of this event, the holistic approach to self-care.
I'm now living the dream, breathing hope into my being.
Wow, everybody, what a day we're having.
Anything you can give us with regards to shaping further events, further content would be greatly appreciated. We're patients, you know, it's brilliant to get the fact that it was important to you.
It's not just us as patients who have responsibility in this.
You know, cancer doesn't define it, it doesn't determine by age, by gender, by background, or by colour, and neither do we. So if you feel you can and you wish to step in, then I would encourage you really strongly to do so. It's a theme that's come up across today, and it's about time, the most precious of all of our commodities. The question for us always in cancer services is how fast and how much better could we and should we do things for and with our patients. But there are also times to go slower. So my commitment to you today is that we will continue to listen. It will shape the work that we do. You have certainly shared your thoughts, your views, and your feelings in very authentic and open and honest ways. It will not be the last time. So I look forward to seeing you all again, I hope very soon.
And thank you so much for your enthusiasm.
Make a difference. Thank you.
I just want to say a huge thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.